we'll call the meeting to order, the Walpole Sewer and Water Commission, today on January 9th, 2023. Time being 6:30 PM. We have an agenda posted, and the first item would be the abatements, which are right here in front of me, I guess. Well, I'm initialing these. If the members would like, we're gonna start in with the minutes. We could look at April 4th minutes, just to see if there's any edits, any questions about that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes?
could we just ask, has anybody seen a problem, rather than going, I assume everybody looked at them over the weekend,
Right.
that if they have any changes? Other than that, I would say let's do them in a batch, because, and that's my thought, having looked at them all, I did not see any problem with them.
Okay, I did have one item myself,
All right?
which is on page 2 of April 4th, actually.
Page 2, April 4.
Here's the- Yeah, on page 2, it says that he, being myself, Hassenjager, proposed 1% for tier 1, 2.5% for tier 2, 5% for tiers 3 and 4. And actually, that's not correct. I proposed 2.5% for tier 1, and I proposed 5% for tiers 2 and 3, and 7% for tier 4.
All right,
So that, that,
Tier 1 was how much?
2.5%.
2.5, and tier 2, 2.5?
No, tier 2 and 3 were 5%,
5%.
and 4
And-
was 7%. Other than that, I would be in agreement. I didn't see anything else that was significantly require an edit.
Any other minutes there, John, and the others?
Well, as I say, I've been through them. I don't really see anything else that popped out. The 26th was the last one. Did
Yes.
everybody see the,
September 26th was the last one.
yeah,
Good, Jeff. We're live.
so if no one has any other changes, then I'll entertain a second on Bill's motion, other than,
So my motion would be to accept all the minutes, April 4th, May 5th, May 23rd, June 13th, July 25th, August 22nd, and September 22nd, with the exception on the minutes of April 4th. Page 2, at the beginning, that last sentence where, on the first paragraph that shows, his proposed is 1% for tier 1, tier 2, 5%, tiers 3 and 4, 7%. It should have been tier 1, 2.5%, tiers 2 and 3 at 5%, and tier 4 at 7%. So that's my motion.
Any chance you could break up the motion into two so I could vote
Oh, okay.
on some and abstain on the other?
We could do that. Which ones would you, let's see.
So I'd abstain on 4th, the 5th, the 23rd.
Oh, okay.
If you want to do two motions.
I'll make revise my motion to approve the minutes of April 4th, May 5th, and May 23rd, with the exception that I just read on page 2. Tier 1 rates were 2.5, tier 2 and 3 were 5%, and tier 4, 7%.
okay, I'll second that motion. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Abstain?
Abstain.
Opposed? Okay, it's 3-0-2.
My second motion is for the minutes, approve the minutes of June 13th, July 25th, August 22nd, and September 26th.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained?
Abstain.
401. Thank you.
Quick question on the abatement. There are like 41,000 abatement for septics and 14,000 abatement for water.
You talking about the actual floor, 14,000?
Yes.
That was an incorrect billing that actually went out with what was caught. The correct bill's already been sent out with the right amount.
So how this error happened? Like someone manually enters the amount or?
The actual way that it went through, that was a wrong read, I'm not sure how they, yeah, it says incorrect billing amount. Incorrect reading was applied to the account, and it wasn't caught before the billing went out.
Yeah, so the billing, like someone enters the numbers, like $14,000 numbers?
This particular one went out, that way, yes.
Okay. And what happened to the, this one, septic, like 41,512?
Those two, what happened was, the bill for each of them was reversed. All Seasons should have got the $41,000 bill, and A-Best should have got the bill for $376. They went to the wrong contract, the wrong hauler. Those have also been corrected.
Thank you.
Okay. We have, next we have the superintendent's report.
Thank you. So the water main on Pilgrim Way is in service. Everything's been switched over. June Street, the water main is in. It's been pressure tested and disinfected. Samples were collected today, bacteria samples. We should see the results within a couple of days. We had a few water main breaks since we last met. December 25th, we had a break on Pleasant and Union Street, on the 8-inch circle crack. On the 27th of December, we had a 6-inch on Rustic Road, the circle crack. And just recently, January 5th, we had a break on Diamond Street, which is actually a lateral crack. They took out 8 feet of the 8-inch butt line. The generators at Washington 6 and Old Post Road are in service. Had a little issue with Washington 6 with the transfer switch. It was only a programming issue in software. They straightened that out, and they're both online. Phase 2 SCADA continues. We're about 86 complete right now. Raw water line cleaning. Right now, we're looking at having that drawn up with the contractor that did the original cleaning back in the early 90s, Weston Sampson. So they're putting that together for us. And other than that, all Team Tax did before.
That Pleasant Street, that was on the weekend, right? Was that on a Sunday or?
That was, yeah, it was Sunday. It was Christmas Day.
Jeez. Looked like a mess.
It was. They were chasing it. There was a sinkhole they had to keep chasing.
Okay. I'm having trouble shutting this new phone off. You have correspondence. Bill Abbott, you've got the septage data, which is very interesting.
Yes, and I do have, let me find it here. Oh. The information that I provided on the septage, if you notice, doesn't have October and November and December, and I've since gotten that, it was just the other day, so it missed the meeting package, but comparing FY '21 and '22, which are very similar, like the number of loads, and I will send this around so we could send it in the next meeting, but we're right around 700. There was 691 in 2021. FY '22 had 700, but when you get to the current, and these are half-year figures, so we're comparing apples to apples, only 586 loads, and the gallons delivered, which is what we bill on, is also significantly down. And the thing that's concerning is that if the FY '23 follows the same pattern as the other two fiscal years, we could expect even though we're increased the rate by a penny, would result in around 70,400 being billed. In the first half year, I believe it was around 95,000, which would bring the billings to around 166,733. That's a shortfall of 170,000 from what we budgeted, so that was a concern. My questions was, do we know why we're getting a reduction in loads and gallons? Is Wind River taking business from the haulers who use our facility? Did the drought have something? And just coincidentally, today I was opening my mail and in was a coupon from Wind Rivers knocking $50 off a load.
There you go.
So-
That's what happened. I was trying to figure that out.
Yeah, so I suspect that that might be the case, but the problem is that the 337,000 is built into our sewer budget. And we're basically, at this present rate, we're gonna be like 170,000 short. On a positive note, if you look at the water production, you can see that I don't have the revenue, even though tomorrow's the 10th is when I would normally get it. But if you just look at the production, which I do have December, and compare it with the, you can see that we've been pumping, basically since the beginning of the year, much more than average, so, which is gonna mean that hopefully the sewer, the revenue should be higher than what we expected, and hopefully can offset the projected loss of septage receiving revenue. Just interesting, got the coupon, anybody's have their system pumped?
Where is Wind River?
They're actually, yeah, they have a,
Industrial road.
yeah,
Oh, so it's
they don't use our
comparatively
facility.
handy for people to go to.
They don't use our facility. I mean, they can take Walpole loads
No,
But
where do
they-
they go with it, I
They
guess that's
transfer it to
my-
a tanker and go down to Rhode Island, I think.
somewhere,
Or
yeah.
Taunton.
When I first, one time, I followed the truck and saw, oh, he's going there. Wait a minute, I know there's a sewer up there. But I was thinking maybe he was, I mean, we had a problem long time ago. I think Rick remembered, but where I saw a hauler go behind Stop and Shop. I'm thinking, why would a hauler need there? They're on sewer. I go around and I'm watching him, he'd open up the sewer cover and was, loading his, dumping his load into a sewer. So he had to avoid the, and I thought, oh, we've got another case here? And it turns out, no, that's on Production Road, that's where Wind River has their bigger truck, where they just transfer any loads and then haul it. And you say it's in Rhode Island?
I think, was it Rhode Island or Taunton?
I'm not sure which one it is.
Yeah. Anyways, I,
And they save enough money to justify that, all that?
Yeah, because they're bringing down the tank levels.
Or is it different?
They don't just shut it like a 2,000 gallon load. They fill the tank on it and
Oh, yeah.
Before we set the rates next June, is it worth like looking at the other septic facilities again and what their costs were? I think, we did look at that before we
yeah.
settled on the 8 cents. I know we went up a penny, did that have an effect on it?
Well, we thought, and, I do have all the information for the 3 fiscal years, and it's surprising, only around 18 to 20%, depends on which year you're looking at, are Walpole loads. The rest are from all over the place. I mean, there's some, they all go all the way to Bedford and haul loads down to our facility.
those are porta johns.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it might be, I could see what it was, but there's lots of towns. I mean, if I had to guess off the top, I do have a list, and if people are interested, I can, provide some more information with the number of loads, gallons, where they're coming from. But there's gotta be 20 cities or towns that we're getting it from. And I only found one load that came from outside of an MWA, and it happened to be Medfield. But other than that, they're all MWA communities, which is only the ones we're supposed to take, so.
We record all these deliveries monthly. So it's
Yeah.
certainly something we can compare as we go forward to January, February to
Yeah.
last January, February, and see if the trend is the same or.
Well, what I did is I looked at the what happened in January, I mean, the second half of the year for the two fiscal years, the FY '21 and '22, and they basically sort of just tracked along with, there wasn't a difference. So you're looking at the two fiscal years, and they're here, and all of a sudden you see a dramatic drop, and that's why I'm just speculating that if we match the other years, we could see a significant drop in revenue from that.
What was Jeff, were you suggesting we have a tanker rate so that we are competitive?
No, I'm saying Wind River transfers their 4,000 gallon trucks into a big tanker, and then they haul that tanker away.
I know,
That's what
but
they're
I
doing.
thought you were suggesting if we had the competitive price, why would they have to haul it to Rhode Island?
Right, if we were matching Taunton's at 6 cents.
That's what I thought you were suggesting.
Yeah, I think we should look at it again, see what the other facilities are charging.
Do we know if that size truck could get into our facility? I think that was an issue.
Yeah, the thing is now with the trucks is they're all bigger than when the facility was first designed. So we'd really have to take a look and see the dimensions of the trailer.
I mean, it's significantly bigger than, it's almost twice the length.
Yeah, the length is really not the issue, it's more the width and height, but not so much the height, mostly the width.
Yeah.
There's no way a trailer's gonna fit in that facility with the door.
The
Right.
whole truck doesn't have to fit in.
Okay?
And don't forget, we did expand it a few years ago. How much bigger did we make?
As far as I know, it's the same size as it was.
There was talk back of expanding it,
That never happened?
That's original.
we haven't looked at it, structural engineer determined that would be a major undertaking to do it. It was more than just extending, brick and block out, there's certain structural things.
All right, if let's say a big truck backs in, is there a way we can put a curtain around that truck's body so that the fumes don't escape? Anybody make a curtain like that?
That I don't know.
It might be something you should investigate, because that way we could take any size, vehicle. Because the problem is, of course, that would be, we close the doors when,
One issue too now is it's a lot of straight trucks coming in. You start getting, combination trucks in there, turning off of Robbins Road would be pretty difficult. Blocking traffic and everything else.
well, we should try it, if it's
Robbins Road isn't a busy road.
economically reasonable.
Well, from a straight truck to a combination trailer, it's a big backup into our facility.
The way the facility's set up now is the truck, a straight frame truck can pull in off of Robbins Road and turn around inside the site. Whereas a trailer would have to back down.
But those trailers are not going to people's houses.
No,
No,
Right, so they could do away with the trailers and just bring the loads directly,
but
To the-
straight frame trucks.
yeah. And right now, they put it on the trailer because they go someplace where it's cheaper,
Right,
right?
they haul it in bulk.
So we need to know, basically, the cost analysis of that.
Yeah, Steve, I think you did a little bit of research before.
Well, we also have the issue of, we have restrictions on which towns we can take it from. So Wind River can combine, non-MWRA and MWRA and dump Taunton or Rhode Island, where we can't accept some towns.
That I think is part of the biggest problem, is they mix their loads. They'll pump Norfolk, Foxborough, Sharon, Rentham, and then they'll pump a house in Walton. It's a mixed load, it'll go to Taunton. Whereas if they pick anything up from outside of the district, here, they can't bring it to Walton.
Well, how does that rule work? Like, would the MWRA have some kind of forgiveness or some variability on that about?
No, because it's out of district. We tried it many years ago, to the point where we involved the legislature. And when, no, it's out of district, we're not gonna accept it.
There was, I think, some sort of related to the cleaning up of the harbor that, 'cause, well, at the beginning, we wanted to have a much bigger facility because we're basically, at least you look at the map, you'd think, hey, our neighboring Foxborough, Norfolk, et cetera, Sharon, we were getting loads from those. And as a result, I'm pretty sure, based on the lawsuit, to clean up the harbor, it was, no, only, if it's going to the MWA, only MWA communities.
Yeah, but that may change.
It's possible.
Well, I'm definitely gonna change, one way or another.
Well, if we, I mean, I have the information, it's in the spreadsheet, so if someone knew what Taunton charged,
I don't think it's Wind River.
oh, you don't? No. Who do you think it is?
I just don't think the demand is there to pump. People holding on to their wallets a little bit more,
Well,
and waiting. All seasons, he's not pumping as much over the door as he was.
yeah,
He's the biggest account by far. I mean,
Yeah.
the Wind River thing has something to do with it, but not to,
yeah.
you know, to the degree you see. And I certainly wouldn't push the panic button.
So, also the drought pollution too.
Exactly, what did we project to bring in for revenue?
337,000,
How much?
337,000
From septic?
from septic, yeah.
I didn't think it was that high.
Well, it's on correspondence too, if you've got that, you can see waste disposal. In the prior years, I mean, in 2020, the actual was 203, and we looked and thought raising it by a penny.
When we set the rate, what did we project to bring in?
We thought that it would be up to 337.
But is that what we based the rate on?
Oh, yeah, that's part of the budgeted thing. That's the only reason that I put, so,
I didn't think it was quite that high.
yeah. No, it's part, this sheet here, the last column shows the 2023 budget. And clearly, we overestimated. But we'll see. We can watch it. I'd be happy to keep attaching the information if you'll send it to me.
Certainly.
Scott, every month I'll,
There is another site that they use, it's another hauler that takes waste and transports it for them. We had a meeting with one of the haulers and he basically told us that's where it was gonna go if he couldn't use our facility. I forget, Scott, Steve, you guys remember where it was?
For some reason, the private site in Taunton, I feel is the closest one nearby.
It was another hauler that he had the agreement with.
Was it well, I know most trucks went down.
So, anyway, we can check into all that stuff.
do we know what Taunton charges? I mean, let's say if it was 6 cents and we wanted to think about being more competitive, I know the gallons for,
Yep.
you know, all the last 2 fiscal years and half of this. I mean, I know from my standpoint, when I thought it was primarily Walpole loads. I actually see the data, and I think you mentioned, no, it's coming
Never
everywhere.
been primarily.
Yeah, and that's where I said, oh, well, let me just check and see, and,
At
yeah,
one point in time, it was less than 10% Walpole.
yeah. Or at least for the 2 full fiscal years I have, it, like I say, it's around 18 to 20%, if I remember off the top of my head.
But there could be a lot of positives in studying the marketing aspect to see if we can enhance the revenues, if we justify staffing the place better and bringing more revenues in the department and providing more service to the public. I mean,
That's one of the things we've done too, is extend the hours of the facility, so it's more available.
Yep.
So not enough time has gone by, see if that's had an impact yet.
yeah, I mean, I don't know, this probably sounds off the wall, but I mean, just think in the private sector, you'd probably schedule a luncheon or something, invite all the haulers to come to a meeting and give them a free meal and whatever, and kind of
Luncheon at the Savage facility.
and brainstorm about, I'm
not
not
Like,
available.
what would it take you
Let's put that.
to dump in Walpole? Yeah.
What does it take? What do you guys need? What aren't you getting? What could be better? And see if any of that fits within our abilities or interests to do so. You know, no, it just makes sense. I wouldn't mind hosting that party.
Mr. Chairman, once we're finished this topic, we did not do policy review, which I think can be addressed with our standard approach of, yeah.
Which one is it?
That was the first one.
Yeah, sewer
Outside
abatement.
pocket, spigot left on, and,
Yeah.
you know, we've got the,
Okay, let's get your,
I'd make a motion on that we send have an abatement for $133,000 $2,012.11, which was calculated by Mary and based on our standard policy.
Okay, so Mrs. Brancato requested 210 and it was recommended by the,
She's not requesting 210. She's asking to be reduced.
yeah, I know.
The second
one-
page is her letter. She's only asking for a reduction, not the whole thing.
No, she requested 210.
No, no.
Offered 130.
I
Yeah.
am requesting the sewer charge of 210.82 be reduced to reflect the running water outside all, so.
Okay,
That's
so
what we're doing.
I'll correct that. She wasn't asking for more than,
Yeah.
certainly.
So that's my
So,
motion.
okay. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, Pradeep. Moved and seconded for a abatement here for 133.11. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 500. Thank you. Okay. So we have comments, I guess, from the planning board. Carl Baldoff, town engineer, regarding 2250 Route 1 site. Which is a veterinarian neurology and pain management center, Boston Providence Highway. And we have, they submitted a plan from Glossa Engineering. So, they're asking us to look at that plan done by Glossa Engineering.
I was,
There is
somewhat-
this existing building there now. I'm just trying to see.
This site
It looks the
is
same.
opposite where there was a proposed cemetery.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm wondering what's the,
It's the golf court.
I was looking
The
at
old
this
driving
thing,
range.
Yeah, the old
correspondence.
driving range, yes,
It's right beside, this is right beside the storage building.
Yeah.
yes.
What is different between comment 1 and number 5? One talks about 2250 Route 1 and it's, you know, the veterinary whatever, and then we get another thing from the planning board, what appears to me to be, you know, proposed veterinary neurology and pain management center.
No, there's nothing different, Bill. The correspondence is in, like, electronic order.
Oh, okay.
The first one is what the planning board sent out.
Second,
The second document are Carl's comments to the planning board.
Oh, all right.
okay. That's what I was looking, first I look, I go,
So
"Oh."
five is the comment to one.
Oh, okay.
The, yeah, so this is an existing building, and you have that, if you look in the plans, you'll see the building. The lot is bifurcated, it's partly in Foxborough, partly in Walpole. That's one of the issues, is the water's coming from Foxborough. And
I don't see that.
there,
If you look at
well,
the,
this here has the building and everything in it, this particular handout, the thicker one here.
the building that's there already is all in Walpole, I believe, if I looked at the map correctly.
Well, the way they're showing it on the diagram, they don't say who the engineer is for that plan, though.
It's glossy.
No, it doesn't say Glasser on that one, not on the one in the packet. The one you have, it says Glasser. The other one that shows the proximity of Fox Hill Drive and Route 1, it shows boundaries on it that would suggest the portion of the lot that is in Walpole.
I'm just looking, it looks like there's a Foxborough water line and our water main parallel each other.
They do. The two water mains parallel, so.
Yeah.
This the back portion of Fox Hill Drive is all in Foxborough.
Yeah.
Like you Perry Drive
Well, I think the area where if you were driving golf balls goes into Foxborough too, from the back of the building.
There's like 3 acres in Walpole and another 6 in Foxborough.
Right. So, this is, I guess, unlike the issue with the hotel and so forth, in that this is a pre-existing building in Walpole already, pays taxes in Walpole, et cetera. And they're adding on or reconstructing a portion of the building. And I guess they're requesting our comments. I don't know if the staff analyzed this at all, Scott, or is there anything we should pay attention to?
Yeah, I don't see it as a significant change. They're looking at, just for the project, like 900 gallons more a day of water and sewer. I don't think it's anything that's going to be, detrimental. As a veterinary hospital.
Yeah.
It's an area 3, but I don't see any use that's being used with it.
Yeah, I think that they're adding the neurology thing and they're expanding it to, which is, Walpole County has a dogs or a pet service center with Tufts, and we have the, right across the street from this, there's a whole row of veterinary, there's a store and
They do
a vet
grooming
office and so forth.
Yeah.
And this here, it says, the lot in Walpole that we're to analyze for veterinary and neurology is 3 acres. And they're saying they're looking to allow more than 15% impervious surface at the site. And they're actually gonna have 52.7% impervious. Given the aquifer district that this is in. What district is that, do we know?
It's an area 3.
Area 3.
Yeah.
And I think the storage facility that's across the street, that was in Area 2?
I don't think so.
I think that was area 3 as well.
Area
It's
3,
all- yeah, it's all
okay.
area
They did supplemental recharge
Yeah.
Just recharge the groundwater.
satisfy the impervious cover.
Yeah.
Okay, so they must be, they're adding sizable, 17,700 square feet additional to the existing building. This would be quite a new facility, and 40 new parking spaces. A second access and egress. And they'll meet all the Mass DEP stormwater regulations. And they have which Patrick is probably interested, they have a list of materials that'll be stored at the site.
Well, I'm just thinking that, this doesn't have sewer, this is on-site septic, and you know, we did a study across the street when we did the cemetery, and,
Here's your list of
I'm
materials.
curious, like, they're not, are they gonna do operations on animals, or?
It sounds like a pain clinic to me.
Yeah. So it sounds like-
Okay,
Well, the last page tells what, very few hazardous materials are used at my facility, and it lists a couple of them, and they do, there's radiological waste, I don't know why the digital would be any issue, since it's electronic, not chemicals, but.
okay, they call this a hospital. And it says here that any material from the animals will be buried at a pet cemetery or incinerated, so that's a good thing to know. Epinephrine and formaldehyde, a few milliliters. Yeah, okay, I was just thinking that maybe they were, dumping.
I would think that we would want them to recharge, have a proper oil separator for their drainage of their parking lot, but that they, because they're covering such a large impervious, that they have to
Scott.
recharge the groundwater.
Where's the field here?
The field?
Yeah,
I think that's in,
the septic.
it's in
Yeah.
Carl's comments, second
Yeah.
page.
I mean, the building takes up all this area.
You, page two.
Is this just you here?
Second page, Carl addresses it.
Yeah.
Or is it under the,
Special permit section, 45.
Yeah, so we would just,
galleries or something?
we could concur with the engineer's recommendation.
See, look at this one here.
Do you wish to make a motion to that effect,
These galleries.
Jeff?
Yeah,
Underneath the parking.
the one thing that I recall, radiological waste raised a lot of issues with the folks in South Walpole when we were talking about the biotech company going over there. I don't know what that is. Seems like whatever, if there's anything treated, the tissue either goes to the cemetery or gets incinerated, so I don't,
Retention base.
I'm sure that has to comply. I don't think the health department should probably be concerned about that more than us,
Yeah.
I would suggest, unless somebody feels uncomfortable about that aspect of it.
Anybody wanna see the,
So 1,700, is 17,000 feet being added in the front of the building? Okay, take a look at it. I can pull this up so people can see it. I think the existing building is here. I think they're adding this big building to the side here. This is the
Yep.
proposed.
Off to the
So
right.
if you go to the old
Yeah.
golf shop, you hit your golf balls, you're going like that. They have a parking lot now over here, and they're adding parking. And this is the in-ground filtration all over here. I think that's where the stands are right now, the driving stands that hit the golf balls. So most of the additions to the right, or to the south of the existing building.
So,
Bill, do you see that?
Yep, no, I mean, that you can see on the smaller diagram that's in the
Okay.
package on the planning board.
So,
in the correspondence 5, the engineer have recommended some details, if you look at in the second one.
okay. Like this, now, what's over?
Number 27, number 28. They have recommended drain trench, and 28 is underground infiltration system. No, this is mixed up, isn't it? If you look at the number 5 corresponding, which is this one.
That's Carl's, the engineer's comment
Comment, engineer's comment.
to the package that's about a quarter of an inch thick.
Yeah, like the,
2.
this,
You can use my copy.
So I guess my only comment is there,
You can use
John, the demolishing an existing parking lot that's in the Foxborough property. And basically, they're moving that to the Walpole location, which is adding to the impervious surface. So just kind of curious why they're moving, why they're demolishing that existing parking lot.
On the plan, it did show it being demolished.
I think it's just a matter of different, the way they're refiguring the building and everything. My thought on the impervious cover is, if it's impervious on the adjoining lot in Foxborough, that groundwater is still gonna recharge and come this way. I believe if it's area 3, I know for a fact that that property in Foxborough is area 3, because we survey it every year, when we do a sanitary survey. So, any recharge that hits the ground in Foxborough is gonna migrate this way as well.
but do we know that's all highway commercial. We don't know if there might be a second plan for the Foxborough land with more impervious for another building.
That's true, that we don't know.
Well, and that would negate, those comments about,
Right, but the stormwater management system that they have in place will take care of any impervious cover beyond 15%, based on my conversation with Carl. So
Okay,
it's a very well-designed stormwater system. He's very pleased with it, and he's got no issues with it. And I would think that would be the biggest concern of this board is the stormwater system.
yeah, well, Jeff's comments are well taken, that if there's more impervious on this 3 acres
Right,
that
if
need to
they
be,
develop the Foxborough
why
land,
wouldn't we ask them to
But
make some concession? I get
Foxborough
what.
does.
maintain the existing parking lot, and then we reduce the impervious issue that we have in the Walpole lot.
So I guess we could send a question along to those lines is there any certification or any guarantee that the rest of the lot will remain undeveloped, or is there any constraints on that if it is further developed as far as impervious area?
Or you can simply tell them you don't want them to exceed 15%.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't want to be necessarily that harsh. I mean, we're just talking common sense here, just on not being engineers, being able to measure the impact,
But if they
the
do,
relative
but
impact.
if they do in fact have plans to develop that Foxborough parcel, how are they being kind to you with common sense? How are they taking a common sense approach to you?
Exactly. No, I agree. I mean, but we don't have any control. If they decide that we
Right.
just prove this and let them go ahead, we have no control. They can put a big marijuana plant there and build it line to line. We don't have anything to say about it. So I guess we'd have a feedback of questioning what will happen with the rest of the land. Will it be open? Is there any guarantee that in taking an aggregate, the property will not be less than a certain percentage of impervious? I don't know, what do you think? I hate to make something up because I don't know what
Yeah.
Carl has in mind, but I'm sure
Well-
25% would be better than 50%.
I think it's reasonable to make the planning board aware, as well as the applicant, that what lands on the Foxborough portion of their property does end up heading towards our wells. And, like when they've done some work in Sharon, I've gone to their planning board and, we get notified of something that's in an adjacent area, and I remind them of, any problems that they have and the types of manufacturing in particular that they were proposing in Sharon. But I would say that we would, if we remind them that the groundwater flows towards us, and then also we'd have to be aware on our own if Foxborough Planning Board or whatever gets an application, that we get invited so that we can, have a chance to comment.
Why don't we send a question through Scott to Carl Balda to determine, in other words, on the surface, it would appear that if this half of the property is 50% impervious, if the rest of it is empty, the general impervious would be 25% at the whole site,
Yeah.
which seemed to be acceptable, all other things being equal, not knowing what the plans are for the other side. I'd just like to know what Carl thinks about that. I mean, is that a more acceptable arrangement, or do we?
The only thing I can think is, it's how many houses in Foxborough does this abut? The same problem we have with things that are just over the line in Sharon.
Yeah.
It's easy for them to say, oh, whatever you want. I'm not gonna get anybody, it's not gonna impact any resident in my town.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I would say, making sure that they're aware that anything that lands on their property, as well as the property in Walpole, is heading towards our drinking water wells. And, know, I think that, you know, we just have to, I don't know if we normally get, you know, notified of, if an adjacent town does, you know, propose something that is on the border, and do we do the same for, if we were putting something on the, you know, town line, notify the other communities so that they'd have a chance to, you know, attend a planning board hearing or zoning board hearing. But I would think on what we can comment on, in addition to that, is the impervious surface of this parking lot, which, having hit balls not well in that area, you know, it was all just grassland. Now that we would be concerned that that gets recharged into the groundwater.
Well, looking at the plans, it seems, are you sure there's not galleries underneath the parking area for drainage
Yeah.
and for infiltration?
Yeah, well, that's
So
what,
it wouldn't make any difference.
well, that's, that's, I think would be our concern, is that the groundwater gets recharged and that it's clean groundwater.
Yeah, well, that's the whole point of the
Yeah.
galleries, right? Right?
Yeah. And I was just adding that we're
Yeah.
making them aware, as well as our planning board, that this is an area that we have concern, because whatever falls on that land is going to head towards our wells, so. it's just-
But theoretically, if that land is developed under stormwater regulations, they have to account for the fact that none of the water is leaving that site to the adjacent property. So there's, under stormwater regulations,
Yeah. And as I mentioned, it goes before the Sharon Planning Board or whatever, and dollar signs, because it's taxes or whatever. Rather than asking Carl to comment on anything, the planning board was asking to have the information by December 30th. I would think that we should be able to send something off ourselves, rather
Sure.
than sending off to the Carl, to then Carl do something back to us, and before we know it, the thing will be built.
okay. So can we send a communication, Scott, to the planning board, maybe carbon copy to Carl, just requesting that advice about that issue, about the impervious on the back parcel and about the potential of water runoff from the back parcel into the Walpole project. Okay? Now we have another one here, Geo Insight, environmental sampling results from 1075 Providence Highway, Sharon.
This is,
And this is the,
is this something that we get regularly? I mean, or was there something that triggered this to be done? Because reading all the.
Yeah, this is something new. This was triggered by our PFAS results of Washington 3.
Of our PFAS.
DEP
Yeah.
had them look at the monitoring wells in
Yeah.
Washington 6. And they did that back in July. And these are our new results. They're required to do it by July.
These are not just PFAS.
Right.
Yeah, no, it had, and that's what I was,
This is one of the reports that they were obligated to do, sue the DEP every report.
that's what it looked like to me, and that's why I was wondering, was there something that triggered this? Because we used to see this on our,
The PFAS part is, the second
Yeah.
part of it is the TCE.
yeah.
could you kind of give us a armchair synopsis of what you see in this, if anything, Scott?
Yeah, the PFAS looks like from the last result in July, it's come down. They're giving you everything here, all the PFAS compounds. What's regulated is the PFAS 6. So it's come down a bit as far as the PFAS 6.
But they may be monitoring other PFASs in the future.
Well, when they analyze this, they don't give you just the regulated compounds. There are numerous PFAS compounds in here.
Given the information, do we have any suspicion that our problem, which is in Washington 3, right?
Mhm.
That this is coming from this, given the fact that we don't see it in Washington 6 or,
That's what makes it strange.
yeah.
PFAS is one of those things that's measured in such a small volume, a number, that it can be really erratic. So Washington 6 could be lower than Washington 3, Washington 5 can be lower than Washington 3, Washington 2 can be higher,
Yeah.
and then you can go to Washington 4 and it's lower. It's really, you're measuring something right on the edge of detection.
What about the dioxane now? We've been watching that for years. What's happening? I see the number, but I don't know what it means. 1.30.
What page is that on, Patrick?
This is on page 68 of 138. And I'm always interested in the dioxane. What's happening with that?
My understanding is that the dioxide is lower than, like initially we had concerns with Washington 6 having a high level of dioxide. 1.3, I believe, is correct me if I'm wrong, also.
So the key here to these results is that it's detected in monitor well number 12. It's not detected in the well in Washington 6 itself. So it's out there in the aquifer, but it's not at the well.
Don't we, isn't Beryl Bellows also, if I recall, when this first came up, they had, were addressing it at their site?
Correct.
Yeah,
And they still are to
Yeah.
this day. It comes and goes, there have been a series of tests where it's been non-detect at both, monitor well 12, which is the closest monitoring well to Washington well number 6, and at Washington 6. But based on this report, there was nothing detected, no 1,4-dioxane detected at Washington 6. It was just at the monitor well.
In the PFAS now, what's the total amount of PFAS into the drinking, into the plant?
Well, it's not into the plants, we look at it as what's leaving the
Come out of the
plant.
well if you had them all up.
Yeah, they're low, they've gone from, this plant, it's gone from 10 parts per trillion up to just over 17.
It hasn't gone to 20 yet?
No.
Okay. Did you ever call the people I suggest you call down in the Cape who are dealing with PFAS, and Wellesley College is also dealing with PFAS? And they seem to think they have an ability to remediate that. In Mashpee, which is on the Cape, it would be the Army Corps of Engineers that are working with the town because of the joint base there. And Wellesley College right now is using NWRA water because, but they are planning to remediate. And so I asked them about that, and they'd give you the technical stuff if you want. The name is Mr. Smith there, in Wellesley College. And it's sort of like a small unit for them.
As far as remediation, you have to really pinpoint where it is. And if it's hit and miss, you've got some over here, some over there, and nothing in between, it makes it more difficult.
There's the PFAS.
Right.
Yeah, but
What's easy to do is to treat it as it's coming in, something like activated carbon.
you mean treat it at the well site?
No, at the plant,
The plant, yeah.
right?
Oh, well, I'm thinking there might be a benefit if you have one well that's very bad.
And there's also benefits if you have,
Might be cheaper to do it there.
if you had activated carbon, it's not the only benefit, it's moving PFAS.
We have carbon, right?
No, not anymore.
We don't do carbon anymore?
No, over here at the GHC building we did. Once this plant was constructed, we went with aeration.
That dioxane, Rick, has that been constant over time?
Pretty steady, 1.1, 1.2, 3.
So it's never really jumped?
No, it hasn't, no significant spikes up or down. The only thing I've seen is down. I think the highest it was 1.7, and the lowest it's been is non-detected, so.
Okay, so that you feel comfortable that's under control?
Yeah, I'm not too concerned with that.
Anything else on that? Okay, very good, thank you. Now we have comments requested. We already did the,
We already did one. We are on number 2.
Heidi Street.
Heidi Street.
Heidi Street, okay.
I don't know what you're asking for.
Yeah.
So I guess the planning board approved this,
Okay. That's what I thought I saw when I watched it.
there were, Carl had quite a few comments, I think 2 times he had comments on it. And I don't know what the decision exactly is gonna say, but I would imagine it will include the vast majority of Carl's comments.
Now, and that was going, they're going to the road commissioners too, the selectmen, because it's already a town road, right?
No, that's Woolwich.
Oh, okay, that's not Heidi, yeah, okay, that's right.
The next one is Main Street, which is the former bank building at the common of East and Main. It's not in the aquifer, existing building.
The old Santander.
Yeah, I don't know that we have.
It was
any-
just a traffic pattern change, right,
Yeah,
for the fire trucks?
I don't know that we have any comment on,
Yeah, I think it just showed where the fire truck would go.
Yeah, that was the only change I saw.
The turn radius.
Were there two houses there?
It's
No.
apartments up top, right? And
well, there was,
Okay,
They-
I'm looking at. no,
they
we're
have to
talking
have,
about
on the
bank
first
building.
floor has to be commercial.
No, no,
It's
right.
just,
The second floor you think is gonna be all residential, but it turns out that the way it says is that, the
Oh, it's already built.
residential is on the second floor and above, and they want to put 1 unit of commercial on the second floor. And there was a discussion back and forth as to, based on, I think, the lawyer's interpretation, just says that commercial has to be, if on the first floor, you can't have residential, you gotta have commercial, and that residential is above. But it doesn't say that a commercial couldn't be above, but I would think from the sewer and water standpoint, the building already has water, there was sewer there, I mean, they're gonna knock the building down, but the service, they've already been paid for. I don't think there's any issue, it's not an aquifer area or anything. I'd be inclined to,
It'll be a welcome addition to the center.
yeah,
I think.
I would make a comment that a letter to the planning board that we have no comment on this project.
Okay, anything else? Anybody want to vote on that?
I'll make that as a motion.
Okay. So, we're gonna report that we have no objection or comment on that, plan. Is there a
Second.
second? Okay,
Second.
we're moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500. Thank you. Okay. Did you, Patrick, did you have something you wanted to say about Heidi Street that we moved?
no, I was
Okay.
just, Scott told me what I was looking
All right,
at.
yeah, I was confused myself here.
It runs to Maine, right? Heidi, he said.
No,
No,
it
no,
runs
no,
to
we
Windy.
were on 931 Main Street, was under discussion.
All right, we have, off Warwick Road, definitive 2-lot plan. And, by GLM Engineering,
Did you have it, can I see that, Scott?
looks like, I think this is the one that I was thinking of, I was watching the planning board meeting, that, the selectmen have to rule, I guess, about working in the town road.
Right now, it's a public way.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's a public way. He's looking to extend the public way.
So is there anything, Patrick, you take a look at that?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
looking at,
Uh,
did they connect it to, Stony Brook Road? Didn't we do a land taking up here once for sewer? Do you recall that?
No, we had, we did, not a land take, we had, an easement between one of those streets in Harrison, Abbey Road,
Yeah.
out to, through the southern Rocker Way, out to Winter Street.
Yeah.
That was the last one that I recall. There was discussion of running the sewer line across country to Stony Brook Lane, Patrick, that may be what
Okay, this, if I'm looking at this correctly, there's one. So, what we get, 2 lots?
Yes.
One 3.5 acres and one 1 acre. And there's a sewer easement to it. Like they're gonna put both houses, I guess, to that sewer.
Okay? Any other questions on Warwick Road? There being
And
none?
on the point 31, there's,
Anybody wanna look at this?
No?
there's a comment which is that water should be 10 inch from.
Okay. Deep. On what number?
Number 31.
31. The detail sheet would appear drain and water need to be reversed on typical section. Water should be 10 inches from sewer, drain may vary.
10
Okay, that's
feet.
a separation between the two.
Typical
Is there
section
anything else there,
separation
Scott?
between the two
No, that's
utilities.
it?
So what he's looking for is 10 feet lateral separation between the two utilities.
Longer,
Between water.
there's enough separation, just a little bit more than usual, I guess.
Right.
Pradeep, is your comment to concur with the engineer's comments?
That's correct, yeah.
I'm seconding Pradeep's motion.
He accepts the engineer's recommendation?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we're good with this proposal here for Warwick Road. Motion by Bill.
No, Pradeep, I
Oh,
second.
Pradeep, motion by Pradeep, second by Bill. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. We have
Yes.
discussion of Jarvis Farm update permit application 12/27/22 from ESCO for use on 3/11/2023. So there's a request in your packet.
This is the
Allison.
7th year, or they've used it for 7 years in the past, no issues.
Okay,
I'd recommend we approve the permit.
okay, anybody, any discussion?
Yeah, so we're super inconsistent on when we allow it. I mean, this is not using the facility at all and just parking 100 cars versus other times we've been requested to do a cornhole tournament with 25 cars, and we've said no. So that's my comment.
This is a case where they're wanting to use us as overflow, and we've used the McMorgan's parking lot as overflow for activities that we've done on the parcel. So it's, you know, this is the other half that we had for, I guess, 7 years have done.
Reciprocity.
Yeah.
So.
I don't have an issue with it, but we gotta stop going, forward on other applications questioning the number of parking. I mean, if we're gonna approve for 100 cars, no issue, then that should maybe be our precedent. Anything over 100 cars, we're not gonna approve or something.
I think that,
We're just all over the map on this, when we approve and when we don't.
well, I think the specifics of that were the timing of that, as Patrick was making the case for moving the parking lot undertaking along. So he's trying to emphasize the need to restrain parking until such time we have adequate safety, what have you, and I think that project has been initiated. Other than that, we could limit the number if you wanna try to go back to them with something. I don't have a problem with it.
I don't have a problem with 100,
Okay.
but the next time somebody comes to permit it, I don't want the board to have a problem with it either,
Well, yeah, the cornhole thing had some other dimensions to it about using buildings and bathrooms and I forget all what was involved with that, but I don't think we discouraged them anyway, they just changed their plan.
Do we have a second on my motion?
I'll second. Moved and seconded to approve the use as of Jarvis Farm by Hisco. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed,
No.
abstained? Okay, 4-1-0. Thank you.
What is the, what's the status? Rick, I have the item here, and it seems that Allison is saying,
So I believe that they're not looking at the location of the proposed parking lot correctly. I don't believe that the section that we want to turn into a parking lot is within that conservation restricted piece. So we need to hash that out with them. We can, we'll reinitiate the dialogue with the DEP and get the ball rolling again. Because that's where it basically stopped when they said that. We never really moved forward with it from that point on. So now I think what we'll do is we can pick it up and show them that it's not in the conservation restricted area.
right now, it's prohibited for any parking there, according to the, second page here. It's the prohibited uses and activities.
I believe that's the portion that's in the yellow.
And you can see it says no snowmobiles, blah, blah, blah. Okay, shall be allowed except for fire, police, ambulance. So to make it a parking lot, that's even really flying in the face of this from the DEP's,
Right,
perspective.
they had originally, their original thought when we approached them was that it was prohibited, you could not put a parking lot there.
Right, that's what they told us.
Right, and then they came, if you remember. we
But
had
if you
an
can't put a
on-site visit.
parking lot, you can't park any cars.
Right, but they have since changed their tune. They changed the tune after we had the on-site meeting. They're like, oh yeah, you can put a parking lot here. But not in the conservation restricted area.
But
And again, I don't believe that.
do we have a delineation of that?
We do, we have to dig it. It's unclear. I always thought it was on the backside of the parcel toward the gas line, and I still believe that it's there. This parking lot, as you know, is up front.
I know what you're talking about, right. So I always thought it was down near the tree line.
Right, in the back,
Be-
back
beyond the
right-hand
field.
corner of the.
And,
property.
but I never knew where the line was. And I understand you wouldn't wanna put a parking lot down there.
Right, I believe the area that they're talking about is relatively wet. The conservation area is relatively wet. There's no way you'd wanna put a parking lot. So
Yeah.
I don't, we need to get clarification from them, or they need to get clarification from
Okay.
us.
When do you expect that to happen?
I don't have a firm timeline, but we can start working on it really tomorrow.
Because it's getting towards the nice weather and people wanna use that area, and I'm in favor of that. Because the more people that use it, the more protection it has. But the vehicles need to be, you know, you all got my email showing you the, yeah,
The Shaw's Plaza.
yeah. So you know what comes. And you can't
So
tolerate
we'll
that,
reach
really.
back out to Allison and get the ball rolling again.
This plan is hard to visualize where things are, what the yellow really means. Is the yellow where the existing parking lot is now?
You know, it's just different back over there.
Well, I know, but I'm just trying to visualize going into the site. I don't see the pond, I don't see the swimming area, I don't see the fields, I don't see the baseball
That-
diamond.
That approximately 4.5 acres, I think, is the field parcel, and that little 2 acres is the pond. You have to remember, this 24.5 acres was made up of like 5 different lots. Okay, so it's all like piecemeal together, and it was blended into one contiguous parcel of 24.5 acres. So the lines, when you look at the lines, it's crazy, the long strip coming in was on one lot,
hard to get an update for our next meeting, or maybe the first one in February?
On what?
You're gonna follow up with,
No, I don't think that's unreasonable, that can be done.
okay, which one? We give you the first one in February?
Yeah.
All right, why don't we just request an update, maybe a better map, trying to, where's the actual, the fields, where is the buildings, that sort of thing, too.
Yeah, we have a large map, we'll put it on the board and bring it in.
Okay?
So the person you're dealing with in Lakeville is,
Lakeville kicked it out of the, Lakeville bumped it to Boston. To their conservation. And that's what happened, that's when we started really losing contact.
oh yeah, that's,
But, Allison was signaled to the one that, was present when the town purchased the land at the public hearing. She was the liaison of the DEP. And, very well attended public hearing, me, Allison, and the guy that was selling us the land. That's who was there at the public hearing, the three of us.
so, yeah, I mean, that's what I'm trying to get at, I guess, that there's no really, I mean, Patrick has great concerns, but I mean, there's no big public group opposed to a parking lot or anything like that. This is just the machinations of who's represents the
It's a
conservation
precautionary thing
and who.
that- it's a precautionary thing that you wanna do in the event that your cars are parked there and one of them leaks a fluid. Gasoline, oil, whatever it may be. Just a proactive approach to allowing the property to be used for parking. Because right now, it's all pervious.
And this
When
isn't,
something leaks, it's gonna go into the ground.
and this isn't even using the farm, this is just using it as a parking lot. That's all they're gonna use it for,
Maybe pickleball.
which is unconscionable.
You hear that, Bill?
Well, you,
Yes. yeah. Are we on to number 2, the meter cash report?
Not quite yet, we just want to, just finish this up. I think that, I would say this, if I was talking to Alice and whoever, I would say, listen, do you remember that the state legislature and the governor changed the name of your department to the Division of Recreation and Conservation? And that all this dormant land you got out there, part of it's intended for passive use and recreation, which means people have to get
It's
there.
not DCR, it's
Yeah.
DEP.
Yeah. Because I think that,
They're two distinct operations.
we, you know, there's a historical use of parking there.
Correct.
Okay. So,
She knows that.
I mean, I would hate to minimize the potential future recreational value of the property by some cockamamie conservation ruling that makes a ridiculous limitation on parking, as I think Jeff has those similar sentiments. So we just hope it doesn't go that way. I can't, you know, maybe get back, we'll get a better picture so we can really
Well, when
see
we
things where the
delineate,
buildings are and where this really is.
So it's on the agenda for the first meeting in February to have an update.
Okay. All right, we'll do that. We'll continue it till then. Thank you. So now we're getting down to the cash, meter and cash report.
Okay, can we get the printout for the meter to cash report, how much time it's taking to,
Sure.
for each billing cycle? And regarding the two different vendors, we saw the demo, do you have any updates on that?
I have no updates since we last met, as far as the demo software.
Okay. Jeff, you have any question?
No.
Okay.
Make a decision at some point, what we wanna do.
Yeah, let us know what's your input on those two vendors, and I think you sent the price looks similar.
Yes.
But if something which can be implemented, we can.
Actually, you sent updated correspondence to the first software vendor on their licensing costs, right?
I believe I sent both of them.
Okay.
Okay?
So, thank you.
Thank you. All right, we only have a couple items left here. Supplemental water supply, MWRA.
So you got, this late mail stuff in here, no?
Yes, sir.
A proposal from Western Extension to initiate the process and get us through at least the beginning stages and probably near completion on the application process itself to the MWRA.
The Weston and Sampson's is gonna be our
Professional consultant.
interactor
Yes.
with the MWRA.
They've got a lot of experience in doing it. They're currently working with Southborough, I believe.
And, when do we get a chance to address this company?
Western Sampson.
Yeah, we need to chat with them about this.
Okay, I can bring them in, you can chat with them, and that'll delay the process even more.
And there's a few things we should ask them.
You can ask Scott or Robert questions, and we can put them together in the essence of time.
Yeah, and there's points that they may not be aware of, because this is, not only is it an engineering thing, it's also a political thing.
I think they're pretty well versed in politics.
I hope so.
Right, and you guys need to understand, you particularly, John, is that this is not just a turnkey thing. This is not something that's gonna happen overnight. Okay, so, based on what I've been hearing from people, you're lucky to get done in 2.5 years.
By the way, just to let you know, at the meeting, all the towns in Massachusetts, basically, in eastern Mass, and some from western Mass were there. And of course, they brought up sewer. And they'd say, oh, we'd like sewer too. And there is no chance of that. The sewer is off the board, it's closed, no new people can come in, it's done.
If they saw the price of the sewer, they wouldn't be so quick to want it. This year's projected an increase of what, 6%, Scott?
Yep.
6%, ridiculous.
So we were very fortunate to get the sewer, because that is not,
The last ones,
hmm?
the last ones.
And we also got the entire town,
You,
maybe.
Do we,
No,
Well, speaking of that,
We did vote for that.
do we need to take a vote to
You don't remember that. You were a little
recommend that
kid.
this
I
contract
would
be
suggest we make
awarded?
services of Western Sampson immediately.
Yeah, I'm just looking for
Make a motion that we recommend awarding
What do you want?
the
This is
contract with Weston and Sampson as defined in
That was
our
right
late
here.
mail.
Yeah. I think you have one over there.
I second
All right, you can have that one.
Yeah, we're just gonna discuss this.
We got a motion and a second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Anybody, any discussion?
No,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
open position.
Okay, so-
On the vote, are you an aye or a nay?
I'm an aye.
5-0-0.
So one other thing with regard to the supplemental water supply, and remember the scope of the article was not specifically to look at the MWRA. Okay, so it's to look at supplemental water supply throughout the entire town, whether it be a satellite well, the addition of another well. That's something that the MWRA is gonna require. Whether you like it or not, they're gonna make sure that you've exhausted all options within your community for alternative water supplies. So, that being said, we got an updated price from Wright Pierce.
Right.
On the construction of Mine Brook 4, and I think it was what, 3.6 million?
I thought 3.7, yeah.
So it's somewhere 3.6, 3.7 million, somewhere thereabouts. That's in today's dollars. My guess is that permitting that thing is probably gonna take 3 to 5 years.
Well, if you look at their criteria and all the documents, Walpole is in a very good place because they're looking at towns that are very close to the MWRA system. Well, we're close. We are in the MWRA system. So my contention with those folks, and I've said it, is that we should have priority before they go giving somebody in
Right, and
North
I don't
Adams.
think it's gonna be a problem. I don't think the MWRA is gonna say no. Okay.
Well,
Why would,
The only thing that, and I agree with you, Pat, that we are close, it would be an
Well,
easy
that's their
connection.
criteria, though.
Yes, but there, when you look at the Operation Policy 10, one of the things is you can't, not only you can't abandon an existing source, you have to maximize the use, and that makes sense from a state standpoint. You don't want to throw away good sources. There isn't enough in the world of good, clean water.
Okay.
The fact that we have Minebrook 4 available, I think the pitch there is, it's gonna cost us, as Rick has said, 3.7 in today's dollars, and it will be fought by, the NEPRA folks. So there's two things going on here, but I think that if we get in early, we got a good chance. They only have 50 million gallons a day, and it's not 5 years, it's 5 years, or when they exhaust that, that's the outside, and if they exhaust the 5 million gallons a day that they're allocating.
And what you're talking about, using MWRA as a supplemental source, that is correct. But I want you to look at some of what's happened in Norwood and in Dedham, and see what happened there in actuality. It's interesting. I'm not gonna get into that now.
Anyways,
It's a whole
I
bunch
think
of
the
things,
fact that
but
we've got
you'll see,
a contractor, a engineering firm, we're recommending
We're
them.
working on it tomorrow.
Yes.
I think the big thing, I would just say, our intent, aside from what town meeting thought the article's intent was, our intent was clearly not to waste a lot of our resources chasing down another well site to the nth degree of expenditure when we could be pursuing the MWA alternative.
It's one
So I
alternative.
don't wanna see, I don't think we're giving a blank check to our staff here to just go looking for all new kinds of wells instead of focusing on the consultant and getting our application in to the MWRA. I know that you can chew gum and, shoot a basketball at the same time.
So you're saying do not look for other sources of water?
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm just trying to make the emphasis that I think we had this debate, maybe we could revisit it, but I think we had the debate that it's not just the Minebrook 4, it's the questioning of if that's a viable well, of getting it to the plant and all the obstructions there and the costs. And the idea that in that same area, Medfield's well already has PFAS. So,
Yet we have no PFAS in my room.
well, we don't know.
Yeah, we do, because we tested it.
Well,
Well, when did
the
you
only
test
thing
it?
I
They
would
built that.
disagree with you on
did you
the,
test
the emphasis should be, but I believe it's always a mistake of something that is written down as something you should do, to just ignore it. I hope they don't see it, because when they will see it, and they'll go, well, wait a minute, what else is missing?
So.
Well, there's an
the biggest-
economic
the biggest issue is not
analysis.
The MWRA. The MWRA is not going to be the issue. The issue is gonna be the MEPA filing, the Interbasin Transfer Act, and the Watershed Association rules. Those are gonna be the biggest opponents.
Which watershed, the Ponset watershed?
Yeah, NEPRA is going to have a public hearing coming up soon. Are you aware of that? Are you? If not, I'll get the information.
To
for you.
oppose?
No, they'd be in favor
We'll
of
be in
it.
favor of this.
Yeah.
However, with the MEPA process, there's one hoop after another that needs to be jumped through. I guess my point is, it's not as easy as it appears on the surface. They just do it.
We've decided to go ahead and do it. We're going to use a firm that is familiar with the process, is doing it. I think that.
No, I think, I commend the fact that the staff took somebody, they said they worked on Southborough already, is that correct?
Yes, they still are.
Yeah, so that's good, that's what I want.
Yeah.
I want somebody who's already in the process, who knows the steps, they're not gonna start from ground zero.
Right.
And
Yeah,
learn on
Rick.
us.
Rick, the work they're doing with Southborough, it's in the same capacity
It's
here.
the same thing, it's like a wheeling through another community to connect through the MWRA.
And I had asked, I guess you didn't get to Jim Johnson to get us a report on what happened with Norwood, if there's any results or change in the discussion and the, identifying the needs of their engineering company and so forth.
That's covered in the scope.
That's in the scope of this.
Okay,
this-
so the consultant's gonna do
Yep.
that. I thought there was something we were gonna do on our own.
Yeah, so the consultant, our consultant will work with Nova's consultant, because Nova was very clear on that they wanted their consultant to be, basically have a final say. And I understand that, I get it.
Okay, so
We're
we just
second-
don't wanna spend $3.7 million, Bill, before we know.
I understand.
We wanna keep the option on the table, and as Rick says, identify other opportunities.
So
And I'm
we are-
open-minded, if we find gold and whatever.
We are gonna look at our existing wells in this well field to see if satellite wells can be installed.
Yeah.
That was part of the scope of the original article.
Right.
Right, yeah, well.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
Okay, last thing was the schedule.
Open
Open
position.
position.
Open position.
He doesn't like odd numbers.
So,
Or
Who's
even
being
numbers.
possessed?
Did you advertise in the
Yeah, it was
newspaper?
already
advertised.
advertised.
I didn't see it.
It's on the
zero
website.
applications.
I know, but put it in the,
We've got zero applications.
Going into a
The problem
recession,
is
they're
this.
coming, don't worry.
The problem is that it's a 12-hour week.
I know,
position, okay?
that's why you need to put it in the local
So-
advertiser there.
So we recently, one of our part-time employees recently left.
If you're not getting anything from the website, you put it in the
Can
newspaper.
you listen for a minute, please?
I already listened. We don't have
So,
anybody.
One of our part-time employees that was authorized for 18 hours a week has retired. This position is 12 hours. So we thought, and I think, that it would be beneficial to the town and the commission to combine the hours of those two positions, make it a 30-hour-a-week, benefits-eligible position,
What's the other position?
and as a principal clerk,
A what?
principal clerk,
Where?
water department. So if
Well,
you-
that is full of questions too.
Okay, ask away.
Right now or later on? Why don't you write up a job description that, your vision of how that would work, and we can look at it, okay?
Okay?
All right.
All right, let's move to the next.
No, it's,
So we just wanna hold off on hiring again?
No,
I'd like to,
If you think that there's a position for 30 hours a week,
I know what your concern is, Patrick, you're concerned that you're not gonna have control over the employee. Okay, so if you wanna do that, then take the approach. of
I didn't
keeping
know
it
you
12
became a
hours
mind
week,
reader.
And then you could have your own employee, and we'll go ahead and move forward with hiring the 18 hours.
Would you give me, please, a vision of how that would work?
Do you remember Mary Frisbee? You remember Mary, right?
Mary
She
Frisbee.
worked for you for 35
Our-
years.
Yeah, her long-term, she used to sit right over there.
So this would be exactly as we used to utilize Mary's services.
Then you added things, then you took them away when she left.
Anytime we added things, we added hours.
Then we added on the backflow. Took it away.
So I just think it's the most practical.
Would you write up the job description? That's all I'm asking you to do.
Well, he gave it to you, I mean, basically,
I wanna see it in writing, so I can look at it.
make a motion to combine the two positions.
Second.
okay, we have a motion and a second to combine the two positions, any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to see what it looks like before we vote on anything like that.
Well, in the meantime, we can get this thing going, and you can get the
Well,
draft and tweak it and edit it if you like, so that, you know, we have something
You
going on.
can't tweak and edit.
Okay,
Tweaks and edits are done by the personnel.
okay, but you can give your input as to what it should be. All right?
well, yeah, but that
Yeah,
doesn't.
we'll get the ball, it's
guarantee
gonna be
us a,
June by the time we get around to it.
Exactly. We've been without.
This started, and you can have.
It's
have
not
the
starting it, it's ending it.
I think June will be early.
Got a motion and a second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
No,
opposed? 4-1, 0.
And I will get that. And you'll see, it'll be identical to the one that we had for.
scheduled.
Now, we have a proposed schedule here. Does anybody have any thoughts about?
Yeah, I saw one on December. I don't think that, I think that's too close to Christmas there on the second meeting in December.
The 18th? The 18th?
The 18th, yeah, that's getting mighty close with people shopping and running around.
I have a
And it's been
comment.
actually, do we ever have them that close?
Typically, you have one a month.
We have one meeting in December.
December
Oh,
and
so that's
January.
what I would like to see.
My other comment was November 27th, that's Thanksgiving weekend.
That might be a tough one.
And it also should be pointed out that if school is canceled on the day of our meeting, the meeting is canceled.
Right.
That's also been our policy.
Right, storm related, you're talking about.
So just if
Yeah, but
anybody's.
not based on school, it should be a separate decision.
Yes, not just school. Okay, so we're agreeable on these dates except for, we'll eliminate December 18th, is that correct?
November 27th.
And November
also.
27th.
Second that motion, John.
November
November 27th, excuse me,
And I won't be here on February 13th. so.
and the 18th. Okay, we have two dates
All right, I'll
being
leave it.
extracted. Whose motion is it?
I thought you made the motion and I seconded it.
Okay. Moved in second, any discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, 0, 0. Any other business before the board? There being none?
Yeah, the contracts. I sent you folks all emails on the contracts to do the wells, the maintenance of the wells. Okay, I sent it to everybody.
You didn't send it to me.
Yeah, you don't have an email.
I do have an email.
Yes, in fact, you asked me and I got it for you.
Yeah, did it work?
Well, I don't know if it
You
worked.
still haven't sent it to me.
You have to send it to test it.
You gotta send it to me.
Anyway, I sent it to all the emails I've had. And I was shocked to read in the newspaper that they had a contract out for the maintenance of the wells. And that we didn't know anything about that, except there was a slight mention, I think, way back about maintaining the wells. But if there's gonna be contracts out there, we need to look at those contracts, as we always have looked at contracts, even if they're pro forma.
Right, so there will be one counter pro forma because the select board is set to award
Every
one
contract that
tomorrow
deals
night.
with water and sewer, we should look at.
Right,
Because the town, that's our job.
I disagree, but.
Well,
okay.
you can disagree, but you need to read the
It's
town
it's an
charter.
operational thing.
If you read the town charter, you'll see,
It's an operational thing, it's not a
okay?
policy thing.
And we're not talking about opera, we're talking about
No, we're
policy
talking
here,
about operation.
and the financial part of it. The reason we exist is because of
Okay,
the
could we-
finance.
Can we continue this after we adjourn the meeting?
No.
Make a motion to
I'm done.
adjourn.
You're done?
Second?
Okay,
Got a
motion
motion?
second to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0.